as I hauled my battered suitcase down the creaky wooden stairs of that stifling suburban house in St. Louis. My hands shook with a mix of fury and terror that had been building for months. Victor, my stepfather, lounged in his worn leather armchair, smirking without even glancing up from his morning paper. Go on. Pretend you're leaving for good, he drawled, his voice dripping with that familiar condescension. We both know you'll crawl back in a week. Tail between your legs. At 28. I, Emily Hayes, should have been killing it in my Chicago loft, sketching logos for high-end brands at the graphic design agency where I'd climbed the ranks. Instead, here I was, jobless and broken, making what I hoped was my final escape from this prison disguised as a home. But in seconds, my grandmother's whispered words would flip the script on my revenge. My life, everything. If I hadn't endured it myself, you'd swear this was some over-the-top thriller. But stick with me, the truth hits harder than fiction. Especially when the ones meant to shield you become your worst tormentors. I froze on the stairs, knuckles whitening around the handle, the weight of 6 humiliating months crushing me like an invisible vice. 6 months of being reduced to a live-in maid, scrubbing floors, cooking meals, folding laundry for people who treated me like dirt. Victor and Aunt Beatrice, my dad's sister, who'd crashed here after her latest messy divorce, had turned every day into a barrage of snide jabs about my overdramatic flair and need for the spotlight. The air reeked of his cheap aftershave and burnt coffee, a scent that twisted my gut. My dad, Thomas, huddled in the corner, glued to his phone, mastering the art of tuning out whenever Victor unleashed another barb. Beatrice sprawled on the couch, picking at her chipped nails with exaggerated disinterest. Here she goes again. Making a spectacle, she muttered just loud enough to sting. The hypocrisy burned. They were the ones turning my quiet exit into a circus. All I'd done was pack and head for the door. No fanfare. No speeches. Let her flounce out, Victor added, folding his paper with deliberate slowness to savor my reaction. The real world chews up and spits out little divas who cry wolf. That phrase, cry wolf, landed like a punch to the solar plexus, right where he aimed. As if every genuine ache, every fever, every plea for help had been a performance. As if the sprained ankle at 10 that swelled like a balloon but when ignored for days because he deemed it just a twist was theater. As if the blinding migraines at 14, brushed off as girl problems, hadn't left me vomiting in silence. I took another step down. The old oak groaning in mockery. Or maybe solidarity. Everything in this house seemed allied against me. Then came the soft pat of slippers on the floor. Emily, my grandmother, Eleanor murmured, her silver hair tied in a neat knot, her 82-year-old eyes piercing through the haze. She'd always been my lone believer, though Victor had boxed her out, curtailing visits, monitoring calls. She slipped a folded note into my palm. Your mom, she breathed. So quiet it was almost a ghost. Would have torched this place before letting them grind you down like this. Her touch lingered. Sometimes. Honey, revenge isn't bolting, it's etching the scars so deep they can't look away. Victor rose then, his tall frame looming like a threat. Eleanor, don't pump her full of more fairy tales. But Grandma just flashed a smile I'd never seen sharp. Scheming. Wolfish. Oh, Victor, you wouldn't know a real tale if it bit you. But you will. She squeezed my hand and shuffled off to the kitchen, leaving me with the note scorching my skin and a spark igniting in my chest, not rage, not defeat, but raw potential. Victor grunted, dismissing it all, sinking back into his chair. Beatrice scrolled her phone. Dad hadn't lifted his gaze. They figured I'd fold. But the shake in my hand steadied. My steps firmed. I wasn't fleeing anymore, I was plotting. The note felt like lead in my pocket as I idled in my car outside the house, engine humming softly. Before unfolding it, memories flooded back, the origin of my erased pain. My stolen voice. I was 7 when Mom passed from ovarian cancer. Swift and brutal, leaving our home a hollow shell. Dad tried it first, packing lunches with crooked sandwiches, fumbling through bedtime stories in a flat tone that paled against Mom's vivid ones. But sorrow wore him down. He was never built for it alone. Enter Victor. 2 years later, bold, commanding, the fixer Dad craved. They wed after a rushed courtship. Dad desperate to offload the weight of a kid he barely understood. Victor imposed structure, schedules, rules. His iron-fisted, tough love. The first crack showed at 9. I slipped off the playground slide, jamming my finger bad. The school nurse urged an X-ray. Victor eyed the swelling and scoffed. Quit the theatrics. Emily, it's a bruise. He taped it sloppily. I endured 3 days of agony. Writing homework one-handed, tears blurring the page. When my teacher intervened, he dragged me to the clinic. Diagnosis, fracture. Kids bounce back. He shrugged off the doc's reprimand. But I'd screamed, begged he'd tuned it out. My words dissolved in that house. The cycle spun faster. At 12, crippling stomach cramps, Victor forced me to school. Everyone gets tummy aches. Hours later, emergency appendectomy. It was perilously close to bursting. At 14, what I now recognize as anxiety attacks were labeled teen melodrama. At 16, dizzy spells from the disordered eating his constant criticism bred. He told barbecue guests it was a phase. Beatrice, who'd moved in post-divorce, amplified it all. Your mom was dramatic too, she'd lie, twisting the knife. Mom had been a fighter, honest in her battle, never embellishing. But I was too small to fight back. Dad too entangled in his new life. The doubt seeped in deep. By 18, I questioned my own body. Pain? Maybe imagined. Severe? Probably overblown. I'd wait till crisis hit, then minimize it. Sorry for the bother. College in Chicago was my lifeline. My roommate, Sarah, caught me doubled over one night from cramps that stole my breath. Why hide it? She demanded. Keys in hand. It's nothing, I mumbled. Don't want to be a drama queen. She gaped. Drama? You're in agony, that's valid. Our verdict. Pose. Years of suffering. Silenced by conditioning. Sarah's validation cracked the dam. I started logging it all, docs. Journals. Photos, not for payback then. Just sanity. Proof my body wasn't the liar. Now. In the car. Grandma's note unfolded, shaky script reading. Truth demands an audience. Sunday supper. I'll rally them all. Sunday, 3 days out. I drove to a dingy motel on the city's fringe. Mind racing. But as I lay on the sagging bed, staring at water stains, flashbacks hit, how I'd landed back here anyway. Post-college. I'd soared at Vanguard Designs in Chicago, 6 years of acclaim. Clients clamoring for my work. Boss Elena grooming me for lead. My studio apartment, a sanctuary of intentional decor. Friends saw the real me poised. Talented. Therapy unpacked the scars. I was mending. Then the recession gutted us. A huge corporate rebrand deal tanked. Layoffs hit. Business. Emily, Elena sighed. You'll be first back. But the market froze. Savings evaporated, rent. Bills. Loans. I sold cherished pieces. Skipped insurance. By fall. $600 left. Dad's call. Victor says crash here. No rent, just pitch in. Pride bowed to survival. I packed my Civic, vowing temporary. But Victor twisted it. Pitching in meant servitude, meals, cleaning, yard work. Beatrice nitpicked relentlessly. Floors are streaky. Salads wilted. Unpaid drudgery. Job hunts? Sabotaged. Victor interrupted Zoom calls with crises. Files corrupted on their PC. Mail vanished. Confronted? Paranoid. Like always. My half-brother Alex. Victor's kid with dad. 19 and kind-hearted. Was my anchor slipping me cash from his gig. This ain't right, he'd whisper. Temporary, I'd echo. Trapped. 6 months eroded me. Resume screamed failure. Maybe this is your level, Victor sneered as I knee-scraped the floor. That broke me, better homeless than soul-crushed. But Grandma's note pivoted. Sunday. The clan assembled. 3 days to arm myself. My phone buzzed. Alex. Dad's twisting your exit, says you flipped over grocery bills. Bitter laugh escaped me. Even my departure rewritten. Sunday loomed. The motel morphed into Strategy Central, medical logs, timelines, proof. But fate accelerated. Alex's frantic call Saturday, parties tomorrow. Not next month. Whole crew family. Dad's coworkers. Expects you catering. Not going. He'll smear you as a thief. Transparent ploy. But Grandma would be there. I went. Sunday dawned muggy. Driveway jammed. Kitchen frenzy. Beatrice fussing flowers. Dad buffing glasses. Alex lugging seats. Victor thrust cash, apps by noon. Lists there. Don't steal the show. By 11. Drowning, meats to prep. Veggies dice. Counters buried. Chest tightened at 10. But I chalked it to heat. Stress. Slacking. Beatrice sneered. Wine in hand. Pressure built. Arm numb. Vision fuzzy. Gotta sit. Eye roll, of course, spotlight on Victor's day. Dizziness slammed. Chest vice gripped. Knife dropped. Can't breathe. Classic, she yelled. Emily's episode. Victor stormed in. What now? Chest. Wrong. Gasp. Panic from work. Remember the rehearsal dinner? Room spun. Eye crumpled. Knee cracking floor. Pain radiated. Voices blurred. Faking, Beatrice. Lips blue, Alex. Holding breath, Victor. Guests filtered in. Laughter echoing. Victor schmoozed. Downplaying. Emily being Emily. I wheezed. Numb-lipped. Graying out. Alex shook me. 911. Don't in front of guests, Victor barked. But Alex dialed. Sisters dying, lips blue. Sirens wailed. Grandma's face hovered. Hold on. Now they see. Paramedics burst. Step back, emergency. Wheeled past stunned guests, horror-etched faces. The attention seeker wasn't acting. Our whirlwind. Beeps. Masks. Urgency. Pulmonary embolism, multiple clots. Doc leaned, serious. Emily. We're dissolving them. Through curtains, Victor. Beatrice in finery, Alex apart. Thinners kicked in. Nurse whispered, lucky, another hour. Doc grilled them. She signaled pain. You dismissed? History of drama. No drama in scans. Levels at 78%. She was dying. Silence. Family history? Immobility? Pills? Unemployed, lazy. I seethed silently. Tests unveiled. Factor V Leiden. Mom's inheritance. Plus pills. Dehydration from slaving. Could have prevented with testing. Symptoms before? I listed dismissals. Nurse. Neglect. Staff buzzed. My story spread. Grandma daily. Families whispering. Victor spinning. But witnesses talk. Video surfaced. My collapse. Their mockery. Alex's call. Cousin Laura filmed nurse. Furious. Hospital became command center. Victor visited stiffly. Insurance covers. Arranged recovery. Staying with Grandma. Second. Flowers. Excuses. Didn't know it was real. Trash bound. Beatrice ghosted. Dad alone. Mom had it, forgot during grief. Should have done more. Visitors shifted tides. Laura with articles. Mandated report. Aunt Margaret, we failed, let Victor dominate. Uncle Henry, group chats exposing doubts. Grandma, dinner at mine Sunday, bills as bait. Prep intensified, records. Timeline. Victor's journals, Alex's steal, his own damning words. Mom's files, testing note ignored. Sunday, house packed. Tense. Discuss Emily's bills, Grandma opened. Victor, covered. I rose. Plenty to discuss. Unveiled timeline, fractures. Surgeries delayed. Video played, collapse in HD. 12 minutes, could have killed me. Journals read, symptoms logged. Dismissed. Room hushed. Acknowledge neglect. Agreement, letter. Bills. Therapy. No more dismissals. Medical fund. Threats crumbled under pressure. Victor signed. Defeated. Pretending victory, he sneered. I never pretended you did. He fled wordless. 2 weeks on, packing final box. House diminished. Dad, stop pretending it's fine. Therapy, let's try. Text poured, family eyes opened. Fund seated. As I drove free. Phone rang, Grandma. How are you? Real finally. You shattered the chain. Highway stretched. Victor's echo faded. I wasn't the victim anymore, I was the truth.